Welcome to the garage studio where you can see my breath barely. It's chilly out here, but it's pleasant. And what we're going to work on today is we're going to do a boatload of sun salutations, and the process will be kind of adding pieces in throughout. So for the first round, we'll just do a plank, and then the second round we'll do a plank, high plank down to a low plank. Another round we'll do lunges. Another round we will do the downward dog into warrior one. One thing to keep in mind when we're in plank and or going down into low plank and into cobra, you are always welcome to simply drop your knees and go into that way, or be in sphinx pose when it comes into cobra. Second thing is that we will work on the breathing is a challenge because you're doing some work, but the breathing is supposed to be coming into the, you're inhaling into a half lift, and then as you exhale, you're doing high plank, low plank, and inhaling into cobra. That's the way, and we'll cue that as we go, but that's the idea. So we're gonna start standing today, which is a little bit unusual. And we'll start in a mountain pose. So we're gonna try to make your feet long. So if you're normally a size 8, you're trying to get to a size 9. And you're gonna make your feet long and kind of drag them from the heel, and then spread out your toes and get them smushed on the ground. Your knees are a little bent. Your hips are tucked under a little bit, so you're squeezing your butt just a little. Roll your shoulders back just a scooch, because we're trying to have a straightish back, and then you're plopping your head on top of your shoulders. Now, it's a good thing that we're not having a whole bunch of mirrors here, because what I want you to do is to feel straight up and down, so that if you were going to be squished by 2 panes of glass that start at your ankles, you would be able to fit inside of them a pretty narrow version of them. So we're not trying to be straight or arched or holding in our gut or sticking out our chest. We're just trying to be, not be, but feel straight. And that's kind of the key. And then when we're feeling that way, now we're working on our breathing. Breathing into our belly, in and out through our nose. And you may find it easier now to breathe in into your belly. So this is something that if you have a dog and you go or you go for walks, this is something that's really good to practice. Practice breathing into your nose and into your belly while you walk. And you can always think about the waistband of your pants, or sweatpants or skirt or whatever you happen to be wearing, but that you're using your belly when you inhale to push against that, and then relax as you exhale. All right, you ready? Let's go. So stand, we'll stand at the top of your mat-ish. We'll inhale, bring your arms up overhead, swan dive down to a forward fold. This is the exhale. The inhale is to come up to a half lift. The exhale now is bringing your hands high down to the mat. We're just coming into a plank, and that's going to be it this time. Find your breath a couple of times. Into your belly. And then we'll inhale, and on the exhale, push back to a downward dog. So when we're in downward dog, anytime you wish to, think about the inhale coming up on your tiptoes. And the exhale, you can push one heel down, inhale and push the other heel down. You can come up on your tiptoes on the inhale, and on the exhale, try to drop your collarbones a little bit closer to the mat. Okay, so we'll do that process again. Inhale, we'll walk our feet forward. As in, we'll do the plank again. Inhale to a half lift. Exhale, forward fold all the way up to mountain. Arms overhead, all the way back down. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, hands to the mat. Walk your feet back into a plank. And that will hold this for a moment. Think about pulling your belly button into your spine and still trying to breathe. Inhale, push back to downward dog. If at any time you are feeling lightheaded, it's too much, you just need to take a break, especially if you are watching this online at a different time, just come down into a child's pose and take a breather. That's a cross between a breather is a cross between a break and a breather. It's not really a thing. My mouth just didn't work. Inhale, walk your feet to the front of the mat. Inhale into a half lift. Forward fold all the way up. And all the way back down. This time we're doing a high to low plank. Inhale, half lift. Now we start the exhale. Have your feet back. High plank, low plank, and inhale into a cobra and exhale back into a downward dog. So it's a high plank to low plank, inhale into a cobra or a upward facing dog, and then exhale back into downward dog. Upward facing dog is simply the same four-body position. Your feet are just flat. Top of your feet are on the floor, and your knees are off the floor. Let's inhale, come on up. Inhale to a half lift. Exhale, forward fold all the way up. We're going to do 2 more rounds of that. Come on down. See if we can get the breathing right. Inhale. And now we start to exhale, and we do a high to low. Inhale into cobra, and exhale back to downward dog. I hope that one went well. It's a lot of work for your shoulders and for your torso, which is kind of the point. It's kind of cool when you can pull it all together. We're going to do 1 more round of that. And we'll walk our feet forward. Inhale into half lift. Exhale, forward fold all the way up. Exhale all the way down. Inhale, half lift. 1 more time on the exhale, high to low plank. Into cobra or upward facing dog. Exhale back to downward dog. Excellent. Walk your feet forward. Inhale into a half lift. Exhale all the way up. And then all the way down. Inhale to a half lift. Exhale, hands to the mat. Bring your right foot back. Drop your back knee. We're totally breaking the rhythm. We're gonna come into a low lunge, upright low lunge. Excuse me. Hands on your left knee. I'm just getting my balance because I'm losing it. All right. The inhale rather is to bring your hips back. The exhale is to come forward. You'll feel this in the front of your hip and probably in the back of your left thigh and the hamstrings and into the glutes. Okay, one check is this check where your front knee is. When it's coming forward, it should be roughly over your ankle or where your shoelaces would be. Doing a few more breaths here. Good, all right. Now we'll inhale, bring your left foot back, put your hands back down on the mat, and bring yourself up into a downward dog. And again, try to just work on your shoulders and opening them up. The goal of downward dog is always to have your hips and heels in a straight line, and your hips and your hands in a straight line. And the hips to the hands one, that's always the more challenging one, at least for me. All right, inhale. And then as you exhale, walk your feet forward. Forward fold, or rather half lift. Forward fold, inhale all the way up. Hopefully you're starting to feel nice and loose with your forward folds all the way back down. Inhale to a half lift. Exhale, hands to the mat. Bring your left leg back and drop your left knee. Top of your left foot is on the mat. Center get your right foot nice and strong. Figure out where it's going to be. My balance is really off tonight. Hands on your right knee. So there's a lot of ways of doing a low lunge. You can be in a lizard pose and have your hands in between your legs. You can have it on the outside into a low lunge. You can have your knee off the ground. We do it this way. Inhale, bring your hips back. And exhale, bring your hips forward. Holy tight hip flexors bend. So we do it this way to get at your hip flexors more. So it's more of an upright position, so you're more creating a back bend. Same thing that we'll kind of do with a Warrior One. That we'll do in a few minutes. And again, when you're bringing your hips forward on the exhale, you don't ever want to force it. You don't ever want to push yourself really hard. You're just coming to that slightly uncomfortable forward spot. And it's just like, oh yeah, there it is. There's the stretch. And just let it stretch and then bring it back. Good, all right. Bring your right knee back, hands to the mat, kick yourself up to a downward dog. All right. Now we're gonna go through another sun salutation, but this time we're going to go right from a half lift to putting our hands on the mat into a plank, and we're going to roll into a side plank. And then push back to downward dog. All right, here we go. Downward dog, we're going to look up to the front of the mat, walk our feet forward. into a half lift as we inhale. Exhale down to the mat. Exhale or inhale all the way back up and all the way back down. Inhale to a half lift. Exhale, hands to the mat. Walk your feet back to a plank. And then you can drop your elbow if you need to. You can drop your knee if you need to. But come over into a side plank. So if you have your knee down, your left knee is down. And you can hold yourself up that way, whichever works. My right foot is in front of my left. And I'm just going to try to hold this here. Sometimes it's harder on your shoulder than it is on your core, but you're trying to bring your hips up. Good. Drop your hand and push yourself back into downward dog. Yes, we're going to do that on the other side too. So we're getting a good overall strength workout while we practice our breathing. Just always come back to the sensation of the breath coming in through your nose and leaving through your nose. Let's inhale and exhale as we walk our feet forward. Inhale to a half lift. Exhale, forward fold, all the way up, all the way back down. Inhale to a half lift. I'm going to switch real quick. Hands down to the mat, back in the plank, and roll over with your right hand down now. Or the opposite of what you did before. And again, now your bottom knee can also be down if you need that. We'll hold this for another, 10 to 15 minutes. And here we go. And we will roll over and push back into a downward dog. And here we go. Good. Good. One more breath here. Inhale, walk your feet forward into forward fold. Inhale to a half lift. Exhale to a forward fold. Inhale all the way up to a mountain pose. All the way back down. And this time, we're just coming back to a downward dog. Put your hands on the mat. Walk your feet backwards into downward dog. But this time, lift your right foot up into the air in a three-legged dog. Step it forward. This is your right foot. Drop your back heel and come in to a warrior one. Getting out of breath. I know I'm talking a lot too, but right, warrior one. Arms are in the air. Hips coming forward. Shoulders coming forward. Back leg straight. A little bit of a bend. And we'll inhale, rotate your hips open, and then exhale, rotate your shoulders around and let your shoulders and torso guide your hips. Inhale into your nose, exhale, rotate your hips. See if you can look up at your hands. Just feel all of the strength in your right leg and your right hip and your torso, your arms and your shoulders. Feel the opening in your left hip. One more breath here. Good, now we're gonna dive forward, put our hands back on the mat, bring your right foot back into downward dog. You did really well, keep it up. Well, I'm hoping you're doing well. I cannot see you, of course. That is the downside of online yoga. Even though there are so many upsides. I can teach you from here in my garage studio, and you can be in Eau Claire, Wisconsin. You can be in Topeka, Kansas. You can be in Utrecht, the Netherlands. All right, let's walk our feet forward. I can just keep doing a geography lesson, I suppose. Inhale to a half lift. Exhale, forward fold, all the way back up, and all the way back down. Inhale to a half lift. Exhale, hands to the mat. Bring yourself back into a downward dog, and then lift your left foot up into the air, over into a three-legged dog, and bring it forward. Drop your back heel. Come on up into a warrior one. Notice the differences in sensation, right versus left hip. Our right hip feels surprisingly tighter. It's usually the other way around. So inhale. I'll rotate my shoulders and my hips, so I'm going forward. Yeah, and you're just doing the best you can. I'm not coming anywhere close to any kind of rotation on this side. So I'm just gently going to keep moving. Let's check my alignment because it feels really off, but I think I'm just really off. So again, you're feeling all the strength in your left glute and your left thigh, and the opening in your left hip, and the strength in your back leg, strength in your torso and your arms. Do one more breath. Good. Swan dive down to the mat with your hands, hopefully just your hands, and then your feet back to a downward dog. Almost going to be our last one. I think it is our last one. All right, once again, let's bring our right leg up into the air, but this time we'll bring our knee forward into a pigeon pose. Now, there's a lot of different ways of doing pigeon. What we're going to do tonight is a upright pigeon. So we're going to continue the work that we were doing with the lunges. So when we're here, your hands are on the mat, your right knee is forward, your right calf is kind of at an angle. Don't worry about torquing your knee. Try to bring your left knee back now. Just keep scooching it as far back as is comfortable. All right. Now, you want to try to be as upright as possible. You can come on your knuckles, you can come on your fists, you can come on your hands. But we're going to be feeling this in two places. So the motion is going to be inhaling and rotating your hip, moving to the left. So it's as left and forward. And then the exhale is dropping your right butt cheek towards the mat. And you'll feel the stretch happening in your right glute. So the inhale is to come up, and the exhale is to come back. Now, as your left knee goes back, you might feel some pulling happening in your left hip flexors, and that's where it's kind of this double movement. And I'm going to go forward so you can kind of maybe see what the motion is. So my hip on the inhale is just coming forward, and the exhale is coming back. And as your hips open, you can continue to try to get your left knee to come back. on days where you're feeling good, and I am not warm enough to try this tonight, but a king pigeon is kind of a cool pose. It's when we're like this, but I lift up my left ankle and with this hand and grab a hold of it. And it really gets at your front of your quad and your hip flexors, but it's not happening tonight. So that can be homework if you want to try it. You can also wrap a towel around your ankle and hold it that way. Good. All right, now we're gonna just bring your knee back. You're gonna kind of come back into a downward dog, but you're really not. You're just gonna come back so you can bring your left knee forward and do the same thing. So now you're just gonna slowly and gently bring your right knee back. Whoa, and the same thing is gonna happen. So now I'm just noticing that my left glute is way tighter than my right, which is weird. But not really weird, it's different tonight. I did a pretty hard indoor bike ride here in the garage studio this afternoon. And I'm trying to use my glutes more when I'm pedaling, so not really consciously, but just getting them more involved. So maybe my left glute was engaged, but my right was not. And again, I'm doing that same thing, inhaling, is rotating my hips so that the rotation is that I'm bringing my right hip bone, the front of my right hip, closer to the mat. And then the exhale is bringing my left butt cheek closer to the mat. So now my right hip bone is coming closer and the left glute is coming closer. Just a little bit more. Good. One more time. Good. Now just let your glute fall to the ground, come into a seated position. All right, now in a seated position, I'm doing a time. Hey, we get close. All right, we're just going to continue. So whatever foot is forward doesn't matter. All we're going to think about is having a straight back and then inhaling. And then as we exhale, we're just going to try to reach forward. Then inhale, come back, and exhale, reach forward. You can even try to just reach a little bit further out on the floor. We're almost ready. And just try to roll with however far you can fall forward. Just trying, you might feel this in your lower back. I'm feeling it throughout my hip flexor on my left. It's all good, whatever works for you. All right, just come back. Switch your legs so that if your left leg was forward, bring your right forward and vice versa. Feels a little weird in my hips right now. Okay, inhale, exhale, and reach. Back as you inhale, exhale as you reach. Again, I'm not trying to really force anything. I'm just trying to create as long in my back muscles and, as I can. That sounded really not right, but you're just trying to reach as far as comfortable. Let's do it that way. And then inhale, and let's do two more. And last one, reach, just whatever is comfortable. Good. Bring your right hand onto your left knee, left hand behind you. Let's just do a couple of twists. Let's do one more. Good. Left hand on your right knee, right hand behind you, same thing. So if you want to talk more about yoga or coaching or strength training for everyday athletes, everyday endurance athletes, and normal people too, go onto the website, go to the contact page, let's talk, set up a virtual coffee, send me an email, and we'll talk about how yoga and strength training and endurance training all fit together to make you a more complete person. Let's bring our arms up to the side, overhead as we inhale, and exhale, hands to heart center. I thank you for joining us tonight. Namaste. All right, thanks for coming. Thanks for joining us. If you have questions, Paul W. at simpleendurancecoaching.com. I'm happy to help talk you through any yoga, strength training, or coaching questions that you might have. Have a good night.